Hi, I'm Luisa,
And Michael,
and we are Retired Life Mexico, living here as retired people in Mexico, in Puerto Vallarta. And today we're going to talk about transportation. How do we get around? Do we have a car? Why do we not have a car? Are we going to get a car? And how do we drive when we go back to the US?
yep,
Things like that. So stay with us.
stay tuned.
Okay, so here we go, Michael. Why do we not have a car here?
It's amazing because we've had cars ever since we were teenagers. Even when we were on active duty in Okinawa, Hawaii, California, we always had a car.
We
We
each have
needed
a
a
car.
car.
Yeah, you need a car.
Yeah. But here's the deal when we decided to sell the house and downgrade, we realized when we on our trips to Mexico that, you know what, we might be able to get around without a car. And it's a lot of challenges with a car, in my opinion, here in Mexico.
Well, first of all, we are temporary and permanent residents. And as permanent residents, you cannot drive a US plated car. You have to have a Mexican plated car.
So we would have had to buy a vehicle here in Mexico.
Right. And that seems like a lot of work. Plus, we also found that the people who drive in Mexico, and I've talked to several drivers, they don't really take any lessons in driving. You pay your money, you get your license, and voila, you can drive. And it shows.
It's scary.
There are some times where, especially if you're in the middle of Mexico City or even downtown Puerto Vallarta, where there's a lot of traffic, I can't watch because people drive. There's lanes, but they don't really stay in them, and they take a left from the right side lane, which is legal somehow.
Yeah, so somehow.
So we decided we aren't going to drive here. And it saves us a lot of money by not having a car.
Yeah.
We don't have any car payment,
Maintenance,
car
insurance.
insurance. Yeah, none of that. And the gas, I don't know how much gas costs, but they say it's more expensive here.
Yeah, about $5 to $6 a gallon here.
Yeah. So we have found in and we'll show this in a budget review that we do next month, how we use Uber to get around. And we take the bus once in a while, which is only 10 pesos one way.
Yeah.
And that's very inexpensive. And then we also take things like, well, we walk everywhere.
Yeah. Let's go back to Uber because it's amazing to me. So when we go back to the States, our average Uber trip is between $15 and $20 a ride. And that's before the tip to the Uber driver. Here, and I looked at it the other day from our home to the hospital, it was a non-peak hour, and it cost me $3.50.
Right.
And that's before the tip, and the
But it
tip
wasn't
was
very
$1.
far. It
Right.
wasn't very far.
But even if we had gone a couple of miles, it might have gone up to $4 or $5 at the
Because
most.
we will walk sometimes back when I have energy. We can walk to Costco and then take an Uber from Costco for 100 pesos, which is around $5.
$5.
And that's quite a ways.
Yeah, that's a journey.
Quite a ways. If we were to do that in California, that would be a $25, $30 Uber ride.
Easily.
And so we don't mind taking Uber when we need to, but we walk mostly.
And then we also take taxis, and that's always a game. Maybe you can tell them a little bit about the game we play with the taxi drivers.
Well, what we do is we'll check with Uber to see how much that would cost. And then we talk to the the taxi. And for example, from Costco, you could say to the Uber, it'll be 100 pesos, which we then throw in another 20 for the tip. So 120 pesos. But if you ask the taxi guy, he'll say, start off with 150. And then you're like, no, wait a minute. I don't want to pay that much.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we'll wait for Uber. If it's pouring down rain, though, we'll pay the extra and take the taxi. But that's rare. So we don't do a car here.
Right.
We don't do cars we don't do Uber so much in the US because we rent a car.
Yeah. We'll talk about that some more here.
Yeah, and renting the cars in the US, we have our credit cards that we get points. Remember, we are talking about that in one video coming up. but we use points to rent cars. And then our credit cards will cover our insurance, but also because we do have a house for rent in Texas,
Yep.
we're able to use USAA's car insurance. And if you
Yeah.
don't live there, it's how much a year?
So USAA offers us a insurance for car rentals because we pay them lots of property fees, and it's a nice benefit. And we pay $6 a month
For
for our rental car coverages.
right. So when we're in the States and we go back to the States for doctor's appointments or to visit my family in Oregon or to visit our kids in Texas. And so we'll rent cars there and you don't have to pay any because it's already covered.
Right.
So we get
decline their insurance.
Yeah, because USAA covers us. So that's how we get around. Now we also fly in and out of Mexico through Tijuana because you can fly on Volaris for very reasonable amounts just to get from Puerto Vallarta to Tijuana. And then we walk through the CBX, which is a cross-border express. We'll do a video about that because we're going to be doing that at the end of October here. And so we want to show you how you can save a lot of money without flying across the border, meaning from Puerto Vallarta to San Diego, you save probably $200 per person by flying into the cross-border express instead of into San Diego. We also, though, can fly directly from Puerto Vallarta to Portland, Oregon, where my parents are. And so we use that quite often. You can also fly all around Mexico very inexpensively. So we don't find we need to have a car, but we also take the bus.
We take the bus.
And not just the city bus.
Experience, but we take the bus.
We take the big buses that go between cities, right? The big city ones are like
I love those though.
Puerto Vallarta to Guadalajara, which is about a 6-hour bus ride, but it's $30 each. And that's very inexpensive. And so we go from city to city on those buses.
Now, they're not like the U.S. buses and Greyhound. These are luxurious buses in Mexico.
They are. And, I always book it. And so I get the front seat, which has the big plate glass window, and you can see everything from up there. It's a little scary sometimes when we're in the big city because you can't see the cars underneath, but it's right there. And
they have a bathroom and Wi-Fi.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And they're so comfortable.
Yeah.
They lean back and your feet go up. It's great. So we don't need a car here.
Nope.
And we don't have any interest in having a car here. And we have friends who have cars here.
They sure do.
And they don't get out and walk much because they just drive from point to point. Then they have to find parking, which, that's a little scary around here too.
I'm always concerned about accidents because we've heard so many stories that if you are a foreigner, literally they assume that you're at fault for the accident. You have to negotiate and get your insurance agent involved. And it's just scary to me.
So we lower our stress by not inviting that.
Yeah.
And so that's how we get around here in Mexico. If you have any questions or concerns about that, leave us a comment down below and we'll be happy to answer it. But in the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe and let us know what else you'd like to hear about while we're here as retired people living in Mexico. Thanks for joining us.
See ya.
Hasta luego. Bye.